Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us in our live session this evening to answer questions about the fall. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to punt over to our Chief Information Officer, Joanne.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm going to share my screen here and talk to you about netiquette for this evening. So note that this webinar is set up to mute your microphones and your video. You're going to see the panelists in the speaker window when they're presenting. When the panelists are not presenting or answering questions, they'll be muted. And chat is going to be disabled from now forward. We wanted to leave it on a little bit so you could send us any technical issues. We're going to review how to ask a question that you may not have submitted sooner. We will be answering your pre-submitted questions, but if you have another question, at the bottom of your screen, you want to go to the Q&A. When you go to the Q&A, it'll bring up a box, and you should type your question into the Q&A box and click send. If you don't want to have your name associated with it, please check the send anonymously button. If it's a question we reply to in text only, you'll see that answer in the Q&A box, and all attendees will see that answer. And we may utilize your questions if time allows to be read out loud and to be responded to at the end of all the initial presentations. And this is what the box looks like. It's your standard text box, and you can see the send anonymously at the bottom and click the send. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to send it over to Jen Welsh, the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, who'll begin by talking about academics in the fall semester.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I'm going to jump in and share my screen. I'm not quite as adept at this as Joanne is, so just bear with me for a second. Can we see that? I just want to make sure. Can we see that? Yep. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us tonight. I'm going to just take a couple of minutes because we've got a lot of really interesting and important people to get through your questions. I'm going to tackle some things that I saw come across regarding academics and just the setup of the semester. I'm going to do it through PowerPoints, which talking about academics and doing it in probably my least favorite way of teaching sort of makes me cringe a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that the information is there for you to see. And I'm also happy to share this at any point. If information kind of flies by, I'm happy to send it to you, and we can give you information about how to get in touch with any of us. The first thing that I'd like to cover is probably things that are maybe familiar to you, especially those that are returning to campus. It is the fall flow, and if you look at our academic calendar that's posted on the website, it will look very familiar to what you have seen in the past, and many of the ways that we check in with students and many of the ways that we celebrate as a community are still part of our academic calendar for the fall. The one thing to keep in mind is that we're all going to remain flexible, and if that calendar changes at any time, we'll make sure that updated information gets posted for you on the Mitchell EDU front page. Again, this may be very familiar to our returning students and to those new to Mitchell. We do things just a little bit differently in the way that the semester is broken up. But we will do things the way we've been doing them the last few semesters, and that is to start with a session one. Session one starts on September the 1st, and it goes to Friday, November 13th, which sounds very ominous, but we're gonna embrace Friday the 13th there. The next week is our exam week, and that runs November 17th through the 20th. Reminder that the first couple of weeks, the Monday the 1st of September to the Friday the 11th of September, all classes will be delivered remotely. And then on that Monday, September the 14th, then we begin and we get into the rhythm of some differentiated delivery. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. One thing that we are doing new this semester coming up is we're in the process of identifying some space around campus that we can designate as individual learning space. And for those returners, you may have places that you love to go in nooks and crannies around campus where you like to study. If those are not available to you because of the new social distancing or some of the new procedures, we want you to know that there's going to be space available for you to go, especially those first couple of weeks when you may be accessing classes remotely and you need some quiet space, or maybe you want to have an appointment with someone on your support team. We're going to give you some space to do that. We're also working, and I don't want to steal my colleague from the library's thunder, but we're also working on some resources for those who are not maybe a little nervous or maybe new to the world of remote learning. And just as we're giving support to our instructors on how to enhance their pedagogy and their teaching styles in different environments, we want to support learners in all environments too. So please be on the lookout for that. Our session 2 starts after our Thanksgiving break. On November 30th, we'll begin the 12 or so day journey that will end on December 14th. There's one exam day, that's the 16th of December, and then we all break for our traditional winter break. All of those classes, just as a reminder, in session 2 will be delivered remotely. The course schedule has been emailed to students by the registrar. That came out earlier last week, and on that schedule that was emailed were listed all the modes of delivery for each course. So line by line, you can see how each course is planning to be delivered. Now, I will warn you that that continues to evolve. Once that came out and we and instructors and students sort of saw what that rhythm looks like, we've made a few little adjustments, and that may happen for the next week or so, but advisors always have the most recent updates. So please contact your academic advisor if you have questions about how a course is going to be delivered. The schedules will be available in the student portal next week, and you'll be getting information from the registrar about that. Let me talk just a little bit about the different modalities of our delivery for the fall. The first one, in person, feels familiar, I'm sure, to most of you. Those classes meet in person at scheduled meeting times, meeting the social distance guidelines. We've got material to sanitize before and after class. As community members, as students, as instructors, we're all going to need to be part of that process. And we're all going to have to join together to make sure those learning environments are safe and clean. We will have our nightly cleaning crew coming in to all of the academic buildings, but it's the responsibility of all of us to keep those spaces safe. So if you're in an in-person class, that's what it will look like. Remote learning is just that. It means that the delivery will be from afar, and it will be entirely online, but we are asking that our instructors include some synchronous, meaning at the same time learning happening. So it's not as though classes are going to be posted somewhere and you'll just have to sort of do it on your own time. At Mitchell, for us, remote learning also means that connection that Mitchell is famous for. Some of our classes are going to be designated as hybrid or blended classes, and that's just that. It's a blend of meeting in person on campus, and sometimes you'll be meeting online, and that includes sometimes you'll be learning together, just like we're doing tonight in real time. And sometimes there'll be information where learners are expected to go and process and then bring that information back. So if you see those codes next to a particular course, that's what that means. Some of the courses that you see on your schedule and you look at to see what the delivery mode is may seem a little strange. For some of our science labs, we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we're providing an experience that is true to science and is also adhering to the social distance requirements. But all of our instructors, including our science team, is looking at some creative ways to, if we need to deliver that remotely. So if you have a science class and it involves a lab, and for some reason something happens and those experiences need to be held in places other than a traditional lab, not to worry, we've got a plan for that. So that's good. Classes in the visual arts, communication, graphic design, things like that. Again, instructors are coming up with plans A, B, C. It may feel a little different when you go in for, say, a hybrid class, because you're not all together with Professor Ward all the time in the Mac lab. That's okay. We've got a plan for that. And we're working real hard to make sure that those experiences that you're having in every class feel like you're getting the material that you need. Our music and theater classes, for the most part, will be delivered in a traditional in-person format. Again, Plan B is in our pockets if we need it. Experiential learning is also a really big part of the Mitchell College experience. At this point, no, we don't have any field trips scheduled as we usually do in the fall, but things like internship placements and especially educational placements are being looked at. Paul Dunn in our ICD department is working very hard with our partners and with employers, as well as Dr. Braley in education. For education, we are at the mercy of local school districts, and they all have different rules. So we're working really hard to see where those placements can be and be as familiar as you need them to be and as you've come to expect them to be. But again, if we need to adjust, we can. And especially for those of you that are on the certification track, we've been working and being in constant contact with the Connecticut Department of Education to make sure that provisions are made. If something happens at the local school district and things go remote, or if we happen to shift or bob and weave, not to worry, we're not going to leave you in the lurch. Those experiences are going to count. If for some reason you feel that those experiences are not what you need them to be, then we can work with advising to reconfigure your plan of study. So again, for instructors, there's a plan B. For you, there's a plan B. Please don't worry about that. To prepare for your first day of class, and then I'll wrap this up, just some things to keep in mind over the next week or so. You need to be checking your Mitchell email. There should be some instructions from your instructors and from your faculty members. Things like remote credentials, because reminder that for our first couple of weeks, all classes will be delivered remotely, so you'll need to know how to sign in, and instructors will be sending you that information. We're also asking that they send you some information about the resources and some of the expectations that maybe you didn't get ahead of time in previous years. So rather than going straight to the bookstore and site and just seeing what books you need, you may want to just wait for those instructions from your instructor so that you are on the right page and you have what you need on that first day. So those will be coming. Please look out for those. My last piece of advice, I can't resist. My grandmother always said this, and as a teacher of yoga, I firmly believe this, that we've got to stay flexible, because blessed are the flexible, for they will never be bent out of shape. And we will, on the academic side of the house, as we all will, continue to be flexible to meet the needs, so that you feel that the Mitchell education that you are getting is not just what you remember, but better than you remember. And with that, I am going to turn it over to my friend, Tina Chappelle, who is our Assistant Dean of Student Support and Academic Advising. And she's going to give you some information on advising and the support wraparounds for the academic classes.
Thank you, Jen. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to have any opportunity to connect to our Mitchell family. And so I'm very thankful to have you all here with us today, even if it's in a virtual landscape. August is proving to be a very busy month, especially in the field of education. And please know that there are many people, many of which who are on this call today, that are working very, very hard, day in and day out, to prepare an environment in which education is at the forefront of what we do. And we are committed to educating and supporting our students. This is, in fact, our main priority, and it's what each of us is trying to not only uniquely look at, but also continue to, as Jen mentioned, be flexible. Being adaptable is part of what we do. It's part of who we are. It's stated in our mission statement. And what we've learned since March is that now more than ever is the time where we have to be adaptable, and it's also the time in which we need to think very strongly about our supports and our support network. So I have the opportunity, without any slides, to talk to you a little bit about some of the questions that came through during the chat and the pre-registration regarding those support services. I'm going to first start with advising. There are some really great things lined up from the advising department for our first year students, and then I'm also going to talk to our returners. For our first year students, we have what's going to be called an advisor meet and greet. This will be a virtual space in which our new students can join and meet with their advisor, and they'll be able to get to know a little bit about them and a little bit about what's expected to come, especially in the first few weeks as our new students transition to what it means to be part of the Mariner family. For our returning students, the advisor is still the same as you had before. Please check your email for updates from your advisor. We are available the same as we always have been. We're just a click away, a phone call away, a Zoom away, but we are here and we are committed to being a part of your support network as we've always been. One of the things we're learning, especially in education, is that there is no one size fits all model. And just because things may look a little different going into this fall semester, that does not mean that difference means that it's not going to be well. And so the advisors will be available both virtual and in person in a rotating schedule so that we can adhere to the social distancing guidelines set forth by the state of Connecticut. We are also looking at onboarding our first year students through a variety of ways, one of which is an academic survey that many of you have already filled out. If you've already completed that inside of your admissions portal checklist, you've already heard back from your academic advisor. Most of our communication is via email, and so please, if there are students here and family members, make sure that you go in and check both your personal and Mitchell email for information from the advising department. Next up, we have some questions about what will academic support look like. We are going to continue to offer our tutoring center via virtual, and students will be able to access this information as well as the members of their tutoring support network via Starfish. Starfish is a method that we use to schedule appointments, and once students learn how to onboard through Starfish, which will be part of our first year curriculum, students will recognize through this they have at their fingertips the means to schedule appointments with not only tutoring, but also with our health service and our counselor on campus. In addition, there were also questions about tutor.com. Many students are very excited about tutor.com because a little bit different than our tutoring center, which is staffed by professionals in their discipline, tutor.com is available to students 24/7. So whenever you have free, you'll be able to schedule an appointment. For me, when I was in college, I would have scheduled that appointment a little bit later in the day. But for you, you may be best in the earlier moments of a day or evening. Having said that, tutor.com is available to all Mitchell students as part of your tuition, and it is available 24/7. We've also had some questions surrounding BLC support. Similar to advising, BLC support will be offered both virtual and in person on a staggering schedule. More information is going to come out regarding this, and information very, very specifically will be sent to those students who are enrolled in that program. Those students will be hearing from their specialists directly, and the specialist there too will be hosting a virtual meet and greet with their students. For the students that are returning, you already know who your specialist is, and specialists will work with students to create a schedule that goes around their course schedule. That is part of the information that the specialists have available to them, and so there will not be a conflict between where their specialist appointments are versus when their classes are. I know many of you are probably thinking, where will there be space to meet, or where will there be space, quiet space? Our facilities have done a great job at going through campus and identifying areas that students will be able to access that will be quiet places of learning. And there are also areas on campus that are going to be designated as meeting places that will adhere to the social distancing guidelines and have the necessary precautions in place. So as you can see, it's been a very, very busy summer for us. And finally, for those students that were asking questions regarding accessibility services, all of those will be available to students through our accessibility service department. You can reach out. The information can be located on our webpage, and we will work with families directly. For any questions that weren't answered today or any additional questions that would like to continue to be asked, we encourage you strongly to continue to engage in conversation. Knowledge is the key to making decisions. We invite ourselves and we ask that we join in your family discussions about what next steps are going to be for you on an individual basis. And with that, I thank you for allowing me to share in some of your time this evening, and I will pass this on to Beverly Scully and Ron Samuel, the directors of Thames at Mitchell College. They will talk to you a little bit about how things are going to operate at Thames. Beverly?
Thank you, Tina. Well, welcome everybody to Thames at Mitchell. We're working hard to make sure that we're providing you with an innovative, meaningful, and connective experience at Thames. With that in mind, we also want you to remember that you will be working with a passionate and focused team of educators and staff members. Our first question was around rooms and residential living. Our buildings are one of the most unique aspects of our program. Students will be living in stunning antique homes on the waterfront. Each room captures the character and the style of this unique architecture. Please know that all rooms provide ample spaces for 2 students, and they have a refrigerator to share and basic furniture, a bed, a bureau, and a desk. Referring back to the residential supply list located on the Thames webpage, you will get a quick refresher of the things that would work in the room or that might not work. And I'd like to remind all of you to connect with your roommate, and that's a useful way to coordinate about what you would like to bring to campus. Also, I put up here for your information, if you would like to get a tour of your room or a picture of your room, Brendan Giannotti is our one of our resident hall directors, and he's been phenomenal at going around and taking pictures to share with our students. So feel free to email him. If you don't remember his email, just email me and I'll get the message to him. The next question was around academic advising. How would that look at Thames? At Thames, each student will meet weekly with their advisor, and appointments may occur virtually and in person, and they will be scheduled. We will, during academic advising, we discuss the student's progress, we suggest study strategies, we introduce new apps, we help develop habits of good study skills for college. We might identify some obstacles to your success, but we also help you and thus create solutions, and most solutions do come from you. If you need help with checking in on your classes and your homework, we'll help you do that along with your instructors. Your instructor is your first academic advisor. We will coach you academically, and we will give you access to our tutor at Thames. We have a tutor who specializes in our courses, and she will be providing virtual and in-person tutoring. We also help students with executive functioning skills, study skills for the students, and offer support if you are anxious about that math test you might have. As the math teacher, I can say that. We also make sure that you develop strong self-advocacy skills. We want you to reach out to your instructors and your tutors when you're struggling. If you want to improve your grades, if you need help with emailing instructors or staff, we're there for you. We will support you and teach you those college behaviors. We also are a bridge to accessibility student services. We also had a question about the hybrid program. And the first meeting of the hybrid program is Monday, August 17th at 2 o'clock. Students should check their Mitchell email for a Zoom invitation. During that meeting, you'll be discussing your expectations and the purpose of this hybrid program. And you'll receive recommendations for helping you begin your academic year solidly with organization, independence, and how to reach out for support. And we will also be discussing COVID-19 expectations with you as students and how you will interact on campus. In closing, it's an exciting time to be on campus, and your resilience and your strengths will guide you. Your team and the dynamic learning experiences on campus will bring you toward your learning goals, and they will help you focus toward your next college year, perhaps your career, and definitely your passions. Please feel free to contact Ron Samuel or me if you have any questions at any time. We can speak with you on the phone, through email, or we will hold a Zoom session for you. And remember to read the Adjusting Our Sales webpage, because there is a lot of information on those pages that Dr. Espy has published for you. Thank you. Okay, I am going to introduce the next speaker, and that is Joanne Kasuth, who led the reopening task force, along with Dr. Anthony Carter and Rick Kapala of Northeast Medical Group, known as NEMG, who will provide medical services at Mitchell. They will answer, or Ms. Kasuth will answer, your health and wellness and testing questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so we've had a lot of questions about testing, and we wanted to go through the instructions. So for Connecticut residents, testing within 14 days of arrival is the current guidance. We are having an application coming soon, but in the meantime, if you have negative test results, you may send them to the email that's on the slide, covidresults@mitchell.edu. If a student has a positive test, they should still submit their test result to the COVID results at Mitchell and contact their advisor. Once the new application's ready, we'll update the submittal instructions for the results. And students cannot return to campus until after their symptoms have subsided and they receive and provide a negative test result. And that applies to students that have the positive test result, obviously. Affected states and entry to Connecticut. Current guidance recommends that the test be taken within 72 hours prior to the first day on campus if you're coming from an affected state. And the affected states are available on a website, and I'm going to put up a slide at the end that summarizes, because there's a lot of information here. Students will await the results in quarantine on campus or at home if they're a commuter, if the results are not available at the time of the move-in or on the first day on campus. Based on the guidance, upon arrival to Connecticut or shortly thereafter, any student from an affected state has to fill out an online travel form and indicate they will self-quarantine for 14 days upon arrival. And this applies to affected students living both on and off campus. Parents that are planning to accompany their students to move in and are traveling from any affected state should plan to be in the state for fewer than 24 hours to be considered commuting. Due to the daily status changes, this is changing literally every day, if not more often. please consult the website portal.ct.gov for updated information. At Mitchell, we'll be quarantining all students for the first 14 days. So because of that, we will accept test results from students from within 14 days of their arrival on campus, since everyone will be doing the quarantine for us. A lot of questions about where you can get tested. The community health center locations throughout Connecticut are providing the tests without a referral. And there's a website here, which is www.ch1.com, and look at COVID testing. For out-of-state students, please check with your local healthcare providers for information on testing in your area. On campus, we will be testing randomly 5 to 10% of the population weekly or bi-weekly. As you know, Dr. Carter and the Northeast Medical Group are providing Mitchell services, and they'll be supervising the testing on campus. Mitchell has partnered with the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard to administer the results. Co-Verified is the name of the application. It's a phone or web application where students will be able to submit their test results, and we'll let you know when that's ready to go, but it will be before the 24th of August. And it will also provide the contact tracing, as well as allow students to be able to schedule randomly their tests. Students are going to be required to check in daily with the application or on the web browser to report how they're feeling and whether they have any symptoms that are present. And again, that application will be ready before the 24th. If symptoms are present, the student is going to call health services during their regular hours or the COVID-19 hotline during their off hours. Stay in their room and not move about campus, and then be tested for COVID-19 by health services at L&M Hospital in accordance with the protocols from the Northeast Medical Group. If a test yields a positive result, the student will isolate at home or in our East Winds location for a minimum of 10 days and at least 24 hours after the resolution of a fever, if it's present, and will not rejoin their roommates or suite mates until after they have the no symptoms present and they receive a negative test result. Around campus during the first 2 weeks, masks have to be on at all times, and the only exception is with your family unit in one of the residential rooms. Socially distance at all times. Again, the family unit is the exception. And if you want to hang out with anyone besides your family unit, you have to do so outside with a mask and be socially distant. Again, those first 2 weeks are the quarantine on campus. For the health and protection of the entire campus community, stay on or close to campus during the session 1 of the fall semester. We encourage you strongly not to travel out of state during this time, because if you do leave the state, you'll be required to isolate for 14 days upon your return and be retested for COVID. And that isolate means that you'll be in East Winds as opposed to going back into your room with your roommates or suite mates. We've also had questions about non-COVID health services. Outside of this activities, health services will be available during normal hours. The coverage will be provided by a nurse, nurse practitioner, and an escalation to a physician. And all non-COVID related services will be by appointment only in the Yarnell Center location. All COVID testing will be taking place in a tent outside of the Yarnell Center. It's a lot of information. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute here and then pull up a summary slide for you. And this is the summary slide of the testing basics, right? Self-quarantine at home for 2 weeks prior to arrival on campus. Submit your test results right now to covidresults@mitchell.edu 14 days before your arrival. And we'll let you know again when the app is ready. If you're coming from the affected state, as defined by the state of Connecticut, check this website, mitchell.edu/adjusting our sales for the latest guidance, and understand that we will be testing on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Katrina Fairholm, who's the Director of Residential Life, and she's going to give you information on the move-in and life on campus in the upcoming semester. Katrina?
Hello,
Okay.
everyone. To all the students in the room and returners, I'm glad that you're here. So I want to talk a little bit about what it's actually going to look like residentially when students are here on campus. And I'm getting quite a few questions about this, so hopefully I can try to address some of those questions. I was gonna go over the quarantine, but Joanne just did such a nice job with that I think if you have remaining questions around that, just let me know, or Joanne know, and we'll be happy to answer them. One of the things I really want to emphasize is that our residential staff is really here to help students through this experience, and we all live on campus. We're going to be around, we're going to be present for students as much as we can, as safely as we can. One of the things that I want students to keep an eye out for is next week, the RAs and all the hall directors are going to be hosting Zoom sessions by building and by floor. So you will have an opportunity to meet other residents in your building prior to coming, make some connections with other people who might be assigned to your family unit or to your pod. And also, once you're here on campus, even though we are doing the 2-week quarantine, we are planning fun events that we can do socially distanced, that are virtual or outside. We're really getting creative with ways for students to still get that social interaction that we know is so important. We will still be having hall meetings, and students will still be able to meet with their RAs. We will just either do those virtually or in places where we can be socially distanced and safe. Some of the activities I want to just share that our resident assistants are just a fabulous group of students who are coming up with all sorts of creative ideas for student engagement. So I'll just share some of those with you. You know, photo scavenger hunt as one of them, decorate your own face covering, doing yoga or meditation outside, stress relief coloring, activities on the beach. We could do campfire and s'mores on the beach safely. Dining has been fabulous at helping us figure out how to do that safely. A variety of crafting activities, self-care activities, virtual bingo, palm readings, tie-dyeing. So I just want students to know that you're not going to come and just be stuck in your room, and that there are going to be fun, engaging activities for you to get involved in, and you will be able to do those within your family unit. So there will be social interaction. We're just going to have to work as a community to do all of that safely and wear our face coverings and keep our distance and just be careful so that we can still have that and do it safely. Joanne covered this a little bit, but I'm getting a lot of questions about the 2-week quarantine and can we leave campus during that time? What if we need something from the store? We are definitely encouraging students to not go off campus during that time, you know, particularly during the 2-week quarantine. That being said, I understand that there might be situations where students need to go off campus. And so we just strongly encourage students to wear a face covering, practice hand washing, use hand sanitizer, and follow these precautions so that when they return to campus, they're keeping our Mitchell community safe. If a parent wants to come during the 2-week quarantine because there's something really important that you forgot to bring for move-in, there will be a form, and your son or daughter or child will just need to fill out the form that they are requesting for you to come to campus, and we can approve that, and you can come and drop something off to them. We just ask that you don't go into the residence halls, you don't go into their room, and that you do that socially distanced and safely outside. I hope that helps to answer some questions, and if there's still questions around that, happy to give further clarification. One of the other questions that's coming up a lot is around the family units. This is posted on our website, but I'll just go through it again for everybody. In Mariner Hall, that's Suite Living Residence Hall. So the suite mates within are considered a family unit. In Montauk Apartments, the first floor is a family unit, and then on the second and third floor, the apartments are family units. In the other residence halls, Madison, Simpson, Saunders, the waterfront, which is where Thames at Mitchell is, what we have done is broken those floors into pod groups. So some of those floors have 3 pod groups, some of them have 4 pod groups. And when you come to move into campus, you will get a welcome packet, and in that welcome packet will be the information on your pod. Each pod has been assigned a color. That color will also designate in the communal bathrooms which shower stall you should be using, which sink you should be using, which shower you should be using. We've tried to make it really simple. We've come up with enough colors to have all different colors for all of the pods to make it easy for students to understand and follow. Within the family unit, that's who students during that 2-week quarantine can spend time with. Anytime you're not in your room, you're going to be wearing a face covering, but if someone in your family unit wants to come into a student's room, they don't have to wear a face covering, but we do recommend that they do. So we're just trying to provide some safe opportunities for students to socialize with one another with the family units. After the 2-week quarantine, the bubble gets bigger, and you can socialize within your residence hall. You can still socialize with students in other residence halls, you just can't go into their residence hall. So you will have to utilize spaces on campus where you can socially distance or be outside together. We're just not allowing students to go between residence halls. The last thing that I've gotten a lot of questions about is laundry. So one of the things that we just recommend is that students, stay on top of, in general, their cleanliness, that they wash their bed sheets, that they, and clothes regularly. And one of the cool things about our laundry facilities on campus is that there is a web browser that students can go and they can look and see if the machines are being utilized or not, and check the status of their laundry. And we are going to be launching a virtual orientation, and that information will be included in that orientation. And the hall directors are also currently working on laundry signups for residents in the halls, just so that we can make sure everybody has access to the laundry facilities. Those are some of the main things that I've been getting a lot of questions about. Please email me if there's other questions you have. The RAs are really excited to get back on campus and support students, and the hall directors are looking forward to seeing students, and we are going to do everything we can to make it a positive experience while you're here. But with that, I'm going to pass it over to the Director of Facilities, Joe Pardee, and he's going to talk about the facilities and custodial procedures.
Thank you, Katrina. Hello, everyone. Tonight, facilities has been very busy this summer preparing the campus for your arrival. We've received several questions on residential hall bathroom cleaning and their frequency, cleaning of common areas such as laundry rooms and computer labs. Mitchell College plan is in shared common bathrooms in residence halls, Simpson, Saunders, Madison, Moorings, Fairhaven, Harbor House. Bathrooms will be supplied with paper towel and soap at each sink, and sanitizing wipes for students to use before and after use. Also, any sinks with 6 feet, closer than 6 feet, facilities has put in plexiglass partitions between them. Bathrooms will be fully cleaned daily and also sanitized throughout the day as well. This also applies to laundry rooms. Common areas and touch points like doorknobs, railings, push plates will be sanitized as well. This will be done 7 days a week. Suite apartment style living, Montauk and Mariner, students will be provided disinfectant to use in their apartments and bathrooms. Mitchell College has hired SRM Service Master to provide daily sanitizing in non-residence halls like Nathan Hale Building, Bingham, Duquesne, Library, Clark, Yarnell, and Umbrella House. These buildings will be cleaned at night by our staff, and during the day, Service Master will provide continued cleaning of touch points such as doorknobs, railings, those I mentioned before, as well as upkeep of the bathrooms in these areas. This will as well be done 7 days a week. All building and community spaces and classrooms will have sanitizer available. I have a few slides right now that I'm going to show you so you can see what to expect in as in flow of the buildings. I guess I'm sorry about that, but it is not, that's what about technology. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I will be passing this on to, and I'll forward those later on, but I'll be passing this over to Eric Costa, Director of Campus Safety. We'll answer the questions you have about campus safety in the upcoming semester.
Welcome, Mariners, and I'd like to welcome all the families as well in our community here at Mitchell College. Again, I'm Eric Costa. I am the Director of Campus Safety and maintain all safety measures here on campus. There's a lot of concerns that are current, that are obvious, and that we're looking to resolve and hopefully bridge the gaps on keeping our campus safe. And we are a big believer here in campus safety as well as the school at large on how important it is to be a community and how us together will keep ourselves safe and working through this time in our nation's history. And here at Mitchell College, we'll be Mariner strong all the way through. Some of the concerns that shouldn't be concerns is guidelines to be followed. There are guidelines that will be coming out with the COVID-19 regulations that campus safety will work with resident life as well as student affairs to ensure that students are following the guidelines as they're being asked to through the student conduct book. When something becomes a systemic problem, they will be addressed accordingly, working in collaboration with all departments to ensure that our campus is safe and our students are safe. Access to campus. Campus safety will always have and allow access to campus for those who are permitted to be here. You'll find that through resident life that some of your visitors, such as your parents or friends, will have to check in with resident staff to ensure that they're allowed to be there and understand the designated areas for those visits. All students will require the ID card to pass the gate here on campus. And to explain what campus safety does, we have a campus safety department of 12 members where we work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and yes, 365 days a year. During this time, we are available for any calls, and we look to support all of our departments in their mission to bring Mariner education to the forefront and making sure that it's being established in a safe environment. And lastly, the short time I do have with you here is that, yes, most dormitories do have bike racks and locations if you wish to bring your bike on campus. Campus safety patrols regularly throughout the night as well as the day to ensure that property is safe and that your bicycle will be remaining in the bike rack. But at all times, we're here to help you, guide you through this time, and we look forward to seeing you come August 24th. At this time, I'd like to introduce our dining director of dining services, Tim Grills. He's going to speak with you in regards to the meal service and how that will work here at Mitchell College. Take care.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. I am going to share my screen and going to go through a presentation with you on dining services. Maybe. There it goes. All right. So yes, I'm Tim Grills. I'm the dining services director. And we've made a lot of changes also to how we're doing things, what we're doing, and everything is surrounded by, one, making sure that we can quarantine our students safely and make sure we get them fed. With my presentation I'm going to have right now, I'm going to answer most of the questions that have come to me through the presentation. First and foremost, tomorrow you guys will be seeing a email coming out to you, which will give you a link, to our menus. So what we've devised is for basically up until September 13th, we're actually going to be bringing meals to you in your dorms. Now, how we're going to do that is as safely as we can, but also we're going to give you choice on what those meals are. Now, I laugh because I know I'm going to get some students that aren't going to get the meal. Not that they're not going to get it, but they're not going to fill out a meal form and all of this. And what we will do for them is I will have meals for them, but it's going to be me choosing, not you choosing. So I thoroughly suggest that you check your email tomorrow, make sure you get the link, and make sure you go through the meals that we have for you. Now, with that being said, we have for lunch and for dinner, 6 different choices for you, plus sides, 3 different sides, plus 4 different desserts that you can choose from daily. Now, on the portion size of the meals, they're going to be obviously larger because I can't do all you care to eat in this style just because we don't have the cafeteria set in your dormitories to make that happen. So what we are doing is they are going to be oversized portions, not huge, but oversized portions. I don't want to waste anything either, and make sure I get enough food for you. That being said, there's also the dietary needs of people that have dietary restrictions, allergies, things like that. In the letter that you're going to read tomorrow, you will see in there an email that will come back to myself and my dining staff. And all I will need is basically, I'm looking for like a doctor's note or a dietary nutritional note, something like that. Because I know a lot of the kids are going to say, hey, you know, I just don't like what's on there. I want pizza. I want this. I want that. Not that pizza's not on there. It is. But it's more there for the allergies, not because I didn't like those 6 items. Now, the menu that you're going to see, it's actually a 14-week menu with all different menu items for 14 weeks. Now, like I said, you're going to have 6 different choices to choose from every day. Some of those choices are going to be vegan, vegetarian. So we'll also hit those, you know, our vegan and vegetarian friends that way. Now, like I said, we'll have the dietary needs and all of that. Now, by chance, we have a bodybuilder in the group somewhere, and they need, you know, umpteen calories a day to support whatever they're doing to build their bodies and keep themselves going. Again, email me, give me the concerns, let me know what's going on, and I can work with you. We're here to work with all you guys. I've been here now for 5 years. If anyone's coming back that's known me, you know I'm going to work with you. So it's not a problem that way. Now, during this time that we're in the dorms, I want to show you how we're going to serve. So for when we get to our dorms, we're going to have basically these shields, and you'll see that in the next slide coming up. These shields are anywhere between 6 foot wide to 8 foot wide, and they go up 7 feet high. So they're actually panels. You'll be able to see through the panels. You'll see us. They're vinyl. And in there, we'll have crates. We'll have, you know, the beverage on ice. We'll have a table. So I don't know if you can see my cursor on here, but as you come through, you can see that I have these little marks on the floor here. These are our six foot distancing. What we'll do is when we go to the dorms, we will have floor by floor come down. Okay, we'll work with the RAs in the buildings to make sure that we notify you. We will also, after we get your email, I should go backwards on this. When you get to the link, you're going to see when you fill out your form, your date that you come. So the date that you arrive on campus will automatically bring you to that day's menu for that date. It will also ask you your dorm and your room number, so I'll know where you guys are. It'll also have your student ID, so we know, you know, that you're part of the plan. And obviously, since you're housed, you're part of the plan. So with all that being said, we will actually take all of that. We'll have a bag labeled for you, your meal choice in there for you. So when you're coming, we'll know basically who's coming in that floor, and we'll have it organized enough so that we can get it done efficiently. We'll have teams of basically 2 to 3 man teams. And actually the nice part about this, talking about the quarantine, talking about how we can keep safe, the 2 or 3 people that you see in that dorm are the 2 or 3 people you're basically going to see all week long. So we're not going to be traipsing people in and out that aren't normally there. I didn't want to do it that way because I didn't want to have any, infectious problems or anything that way. So we were thinking through that point. So at any rate, back to when we get to the dorms, you're coming up, you're going to come to one area, you're going to show your ID, we're going to know who you are, we'll get your name out, we'll get your bag out with a name on it. In that bag, you're going to have a water, you're going to have your cutlery, you'll have your meal that you chose, your side, your dessert. You're going to come around, we'll give you a beverage, you'll have a choice of a whole fruit in there. And then for lunch, we're also going to throw 3 snacks in there plus an additional beverage for you. So you have snacks and all that. We're very aware that, you guys need nutrition. You're going to be in your rooms. We want to try to do the best we possibly can. And with that being said, some of the meal choices we have, we're going to serve them to you cold. They'll be all cold, but the containers that we're going to have for you with hot meals. If you get a sandwich, you get a sandwich. But if you had a hot meal, it's going to be microwavable ready. We'll actually have the directions in there for you to microwave also. What I'm hoping is 99% of you all have microwaves when you're coming in. If you don't, the common area will have a microwave there for you. But again, if you have to use that microwave, it'll all be social distancing on how you will do that. So that we don't have any problems that way. So again, when you're looking at this here, you're actually going right around. So it's all social distancing, show your ID, we get you covered with your meal, come around, you get your beverage, all of that come through here. We set the bag down on the table that you see where it's not barriered, and you actually pick the bag up, whoops, and go from there. So that way there, it's touchless. So you have your meal, all of that set to go. Now, again, this is until September 13th. I don't encourage it, but I know it's going to happen because you guys are college kids. You will have the opportunity, obviously, to call Grubhub or get your favorite pizza or something like that delivered on. I know it goes against what Eric just said as far as parents coming there, but if you've been in college and you've seen the college kids, they're going to want something late at night. That's why I'm trying to do the snacks, but I know I'm not going to satisfy everyone. So that, I think I beat that up pretty good on there. But again, if you have more questions on that, please send them. Now, when I was talking about sanitation, now, when you guys, after the 14th, you guys are going to be coming back to Milner Hall. What we're going to be doing there is we'll be sanitizing throughout the day all the touch points. All right, and I'll show you a map on how that's going to go next, but I want to go through sanitation. Over here, you can see the panel that we'll be having for everyone here, so you can see what's going on there. These panels will actually be used in my next slide to actually barricade out walkways, things like that, in Mariner, not in Mariner, in Milner Hall and in the Market Cafe, so that you can see what's going on there. We will have hand sanitations all over the place, even with back of the in the dorms. We will have a bottle of hand sanitizer there for the kids to use even before they come up to me. So when they go to touch the bag, all of that, we are really conscious of all of that. When we get back into the Milner Hall, Market Cafe, and on the patio, because there'll be chairs out there and tables, you see these 2 signs. This is basically a laminated sign where when the students come into the cafeteria, go to a table, you'll see this sign. If it says clean, that means that we've already sanitized that table. That's set for you. You can now sit down at that table. You can rest assured that we've sanitized it completely. What we ask when you leave, not only taking all of your debris with you and throwing it in the trash, is also to flip the card over so that you're helping your classmates, student mates, college mates, so that they don't sit there until we have a chance to go over there and sanitize the table. Again, we'll be hitting all the touch points throughout the day, emptying trash, things like that throughout the day, just to make sure that everything that we're doing is sanitized properly. Now, when you come to Milner, and you're going to be coming to the cafeteria, and this is September 14th, you will actually enter, and you haven't seen it yet, but by the Stemmeyer Garden, all right, which is on the back side of Milner Hall. So how everyone used to come through the patio and through those double doors, that is actually going to be an exit now. The patio is going to have tables and chairs out there, social distancing for people to sit out there. So that is our exit way out. So when you get your food, you can go out there and sit down outside, do all that, especially nice air, all of that good stuff. And then, like I said, you're going to enter from the opposite side, that hallway. So when you come in, you're going to be greeted right off the bat with 2 sanitizing stations, hand sanitizers. So you walk through the door, boom, you got your hand sanitizing. You'll see now that I have these panels up. So you're going to go into one way or the other. You're going to go into Milner Hall, and it'll be all signage there. You'll have the markings on the floor for the 6 foot going apart, and the same thing for the Market Cafe, depending on where you're going. I'll talk about the Market Cafe in a second. So when you come in, you can see your distancing here. You have your restrooms here. You're actually going to enter the exit door of Milner Hall. Now, when you come into Milner Hall, you can see right off the bat, seating capacity in Milner Hall is only 42 people. Now, that's only because we have to do social distancing. So when you guys come through the door, you're going to come through the door here. The register is now going to be here. We'll have a pass-through for you, and you can actually swipe your ID yourself. So we're trying to make this all contactless. We will have one of our staff people there, but you will swipe your card through contactless, and then you can see the walkway. You can see your arrows. We'll actually have the arrows down, and we'll actually have, again, the social distancing markers. So you'll actually walk through this almost barricaded area, even though you can see through it because it's all vinyl. And depending on what you're doing, when you get to this part of the dining services, it's still going to be grab and go to a point where it's all paper goods, things like that, that everything's going to be packaged in. And at the start, we're going to do, again, what we feel we can do well. So in other words, why I'm saying that is, let's say you wanted to get a burger at the grill. We'll still have a burger, but what we won't have is like the lettuce, tomato, all of that with it right now. What we're going to do is we're going to work with education in the classrooms. When you guys are breaking, find out what the points are as far as flow of how busy it might be when you guys get out of class. And we'll be preparing food now. We're going to do everything small batches. So it'll be all small batch cooking between, every 20 minutes or so, making up meals. Now, we still will have the grill. We still will have home style. We'll still have French fries. We'll still have the stir fry. We'll still have the pizza. We will not have the salad bar. We'll have ready-made salads for you going through. And I can give you a lot more information on that, but I just wanted to give you a more overflow of how the flow goes. You can see how everything is paneled out. You're going to walk through one direction and out. There will be a pass-through on one side to get some tables over here. And then again, my staff person will negotiate who's going where. You will also see you have all your seating over here, and you're going to exit out the double door here onto the patio, or you exit right out to go out to the patio, depending. If you're going to sit in this room, we're not going to walk through here to get out to the patio. You will go straight out through here. So that gives you an idea there. All right, now the Market Cafe and Boost app. You will be getting a card in your first meal bag with the Boost scan. So you do that little scan thing. You guys know it better than I do with the technology, and it goes right into that app. You download that app, you go to Mitchell College, and you will see a menu. If you do it now, well, you're not going to be able to do it now because I have a card. You don't. But we won't start that menu until September 14th. What that does for you, all right, is the Market Cafe will be like the Market Cafe. The only problem is you're not going to be coming in and ordering your food anymore. You're going to do it off the Boost app. This way here, you can get the sandwich of your choice. You can get it modified the way you want it. You can buy the different snacks and everything else. It will be loaded with your flex dollars. I would suggest parents put more dollars on there because they always do with the dining dollars. And you can use the app attached to your card as long as you have the dining dollars to that. if you're going to buy over and above your meal plan and so on and so forth that way. And I will go back into the Boost Mobile a lot more and with the questions as you guys are there, but I got you guys there for basically over 2 weeks before you even get to this point. So we will go through that. And I know I'm over my 4 minutes, but I would believe I answered most all the questions that I had. So I am going to now turn this over to Katie, our user server librarian, and she's going to answer the questions on how the library service is going to work for the fall. All right, Katie.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Start sharing my screen.
I'm going to share something too. So here we go. Now I can share. So I'm hoping I can answer all the questions you submitted about the library and give you an idea of what the staff support in the library is going to look like and access to our shared resources in the library while doing our best and doing our part in the community to reopen safely. So as we have been doing, we're going to continue our online support with our regular fall hours. So you can reach all the library staff, the returners. I'm sure you know myself, Katie, you know Gina and Stephanie and Lauren. Also the IT staff, Derval, John and Tracy. We're all going to be available to you during our regular hours virtually. So in addition, all of our collections and services will be available, including delivery from other libraries. That was one of the questions we had. And the libraries in our consortium are doing some quarantining of books and videos as they get returned between loans. So we're observing the same thing. And this may make things take a little bit longer than usual, but we will be fully supporting that service. So you can call, email, chat with us online. We can schedule appointments with students through Starfish and Zoom with you, with any of our staff. Anytime you need help with library research, borrowing or using the technology on campus, or any general questions you have about our services, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. In addition, library building access will be available by appointment during the quarantine period. We are in the process of setting up a Calendly that makes it very easy for students to go online and click. With a couple of clicks, you can reserve a spot in the library, either at a table or a computer. And that's your dedicated time that will help us to ensure social distancing in the library. So look for that on the library's website, and we'll be expanding our hours after the quarantine period has ended. Meanwhile, our Office of Information Technology has also been working on a 2-phase network enhancement project on campus in anticipation of the increased online activity. And we've been working with them also to build virtual support and orientation into the Anchors Away orientation programming and FYE curriculum. So you'll get to see us in various ways. You'll see us through some recorded videos and some online Zoom instruction sessions in the FYE programming. Students needing a quick stop at the library for books, technology pickup, or student ID pickup, printing job pickup, will be able to request curbside pickup as well. So if you don't have an appointment, you can still give us a call and arrange curbside during that quarantine period. So now that's, hopefully I answered all of your questions, and I would like to turn the microphone over to Casey Runksmeyer, our Assistant Athletic Director, who will speak to your questions about athletics in the fall.
Thank you, Katie. And thank you to all those that submitted questions for athletics and our athletic facilities. I certainly saw a number of returning student athletes and their parents in that mix. And I just want to tell you that our staff truly misses you and can't wait to see you again. And same to all those incoming student athletes and their parents too. We are excited to have you. With that, I will start by addressing the questions pertaining to varsity athletics. Our plan is based off the guiding principles of Mitchell College, the New England Collegiate Conference, and the NCAA, and we're taking every precaution that has been put forward by those entities. The recommendations advise us to wear masks, be socially distant, and train in small groups, so we are taking all of those safeguards. Additionally, we will have each student athlete provide the results of the CoFIDE app and have their temperature checked by an athletic department staff member before allowing him or her to train or practice each day or session. Since we will be practicing this fall, we are taking the extra step and we'll be testing student athletes at a higher percentage than what is being recommended by the state. Furthermore, we will be training or practicing outdoors as much as possible, as that has proven to reduce the risk as well. Keep in mind that even though we will be practicing, those sessions may look a little different because student athletes have potentially been away from their organized sport for a long period of time. Therefore, training and conditioning sessions will be introduced intentionally, gradually, and progressively to encourage proper acclimatization and to minimize risk of adverse effects on health. We will be sanitizing equipment before and after use as well. Lastly, we do ask that student athletes come to campus with a personal water bottle. We will certainly have water stations set up with sanitizer being used between each pour, but we will not be providing cups or bottles so as to reduce the transmission. We hope you understand this decision. As it pertains to Yarnell in general, many parents and students have asked about the status of the fitness center and gymnasium. They will be closed for quarantine, but we are exploring creative ways to promote health and wellness through other avenues. We may be partnering with some independent fitness centers in the area to offer programming. Once details become available, we will happily share those with you and hope that you will join us in staying active and healthy. With that, I will turn it over to Joanne to wrap us up.
Hey, thank you, Casey. And I am going to actually pull up Joe's slide and ask Joe to jump in here as soon as I share the screen. And then you'll be able to see what you missed on the first time around. And so, Joe?
Yes, thank you, Joanne. Hello again. This is Nathan Hale. So I have two slides here of two buildings. One is academic classroom building, and the other one is a residence hall, Saunders. But just to give you the idea of the flow of how we're preparing the building. So Nathan Hale, we're going to have one-way enter, one-way exit. So you'll come in the front entrance, and we'll have markings, arrows, and signage for masks required, wash your hands, reminding students to wash their hands, but also knowing the symptoms of COVID. At the front entrance of each building that'll be designated, as well as hand sanitizer. And so these flows will go through each one from, with Nathan Hale, you'll go from the front to the back, you'll go upstairs to the second floor, and you'll exit out the far side stairwell. So everybody goes in one way and out the other to help reduce any crossover of, because this is a building that we have a lot of students going into with classes. This was a great opportunity for us to help separate them. As well as in the classroom, as you can see, we've separated out 6 foot apart the tables and desks and chairs for the students, as well as where the faculty member will be teaching. In the classrooms, we will be supplying extra face masks, extra rubber gloves, hand sanitizer, as well as wipes for their particular table or even computer space. At the computer labs, we will actually have wipes right at the computer, so you can wipe it before and wipe it after. That way we're all participating in keeping us all healthy. Can you go to the second slide, please? Thank you, Joanne. So here's Saunders, and Saunders Simpson are very identical. You'll be going in and out the same door, but as you go in the front entrance, you'll take a left and go up the stairs and to your required floors. And then when you exit, you'll exit out the backside stairwell and through the first floor out the same front door. So again, we'll be having the same things as we had in the general buildings. We'll have hand sanitizer available, wipes available, as well as signage showing you all this and reminding you about face masks, washing your hands, and that. So thank you, Joanne. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Joe. And hopefully that everyone got a good chance to see that. We're going to take a few minutes here, and we have some questions still. And Tim, I'm going to throw one over to you. You want to answer, how do we handle food allergies, please?
Yeah, not a problem. I think you can hear me. Yeah, food allergies, and again, you'll see it in the letter tomorrow. What you're going to do is you're going to have an email address coming to me and my team at mcmenus@mitchell.edu. What I ask is that, obviously I'm going to get who you are, but I'll ask again what dorm you're in and what allergies you have. And what I'm looking for is actually the food restrictions that you have so that we can make sure that we can tweak that meal to your needs. Obviously, your meal will be delivered in your labeled bag, so you'll know that that food is yours, so we can take care of it that way. So I believe that answers your question. Back to you, Joanne.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And let's see. Casey, question on the gym again. The gym will be open for students to use, and do they need to make appointments to work out? Would you like to take that, please?
At this point, the first 2 weeks, the gym will be closed. What we're going to do with it beyond that is still in question, and we're looking for ways to make it safe. We're exploring, as I noted, some kind of different and creative ways of which to accomplish that outside, and with maybe potentially partnering up with some other entities, as well as offering classes through things that we do as well.
Great, thank you. And Jen, I think academic support, could you go over that again and how that's going to be handled in terms of remote, hybrid, or in person? Or?
Sure, happy to. Academic support in terms of tutoring will occur in a couple of different ways. For all classes, there'll be tutoring available through tutor.com, and we are working right now on some in-person or, well, remote delivery of the tutoring, but with familiar faces. So if that's the kind of academic support that people are looking for, then we certainly will have that wraparound service that you've come to expect. If there's other support, I'm happy to answer it in the Q&A box.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Let's see. Question, Tim, you're the popular food person here. I understand you'll be looking for documentation on students with allergies or sensitivity. My question is for those with food selectivity concerns and that have a limited diet. Are you offering more basic options than were listed on the slides? And will students be able to make modifications to the meals that are being offered?
I'm going to answer that yes and no, only because I can see 400 people coming at me at once. And that's going to be very difficult to do. Will I basically bend over backwards and do what I can for you? By all means. It's got to be reasonable. All right. So, I mean, if you're saying that you're a plain eater and you just want a plain grilled piece of chicken, not a problem. Send that to me. If you send me a caveat of, 18 different things that I have to do, be aware of everyone else I need to feed. So again, you can ask me privately, send me an email through that email that I already stated, mcmenus@mitchell.edu, and I will answer the question the best I can for you so that I can make sure that you eat and eat what you like. I'll give you an example. We had a student, I'm going to say probably 4 years ago. All they ate was a chicken breast. Went to the grill, got a chicken breast. They also ate, I don't know, about 3 quarts of ice cream because I had that availability. Do I want you guys to do that in the dorm? No. So give me an email and let's talk it through. Thank you.
All right, Tim, you're not off the hook quite that easily yet. One more.
Let's go.
After the first 2 weeks, will the cafe be open for us to sit down and eat?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. The like I said, you saw the capacity for Milner Dining Hall. That was 42. The cafe is only going to have about 24 in there. Again, we'll have the patio. I'm not going to tent the patio, but we'll have the patio with tables and chairs out there. You can also eat in the classroom like everybody else used to do anyway, or back in your dorms for meals that way. So we're going to do the best we can with the spaces that we have available, but I'm sure that as we go forward, that will work itself out.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Question on how you'll be able to buy textbooks. Textbooks are available online. And again, the mailroom will be open regular hours, and you can have textbooks ordered and sent through the mailroom. And the faculty have been selecting the textbooks for you. And if you need more information on that, we can provide that to you. Let's see. Katrina, question, are we fully moving out in November before session 2 for sanitizing?
Hi, sorry, I was answering questions and answering emails that were coming in, trying to answer everybody. I think at this stage we are not asking students to completely move out at Thanksgiving, but I would just recommend, because we are in the middle of a pandemic, that I would just pack lightly and be prepared. You know, like at that Thanksgiving break, take home the things that are really important that you would need.
Okay, thank you, Katrina. Okay, a question on how Mitchell College will monitor commuter students to make sure they're not bringing COVID-19 to the school community. So we're going to, Katrina, do you want to talk a little bit about the Mariner Promise? Sorry, I did it to you again.
So I think the Mariner Promise was emailed out to students and families this evening. It's also going to be part of a virtual orientation that not only just new students will have to complete, but all returning and commuter students as well. And that really talks about, you know, honoring some of these guidelines around, you know, not coming to campus, if not going into residence halls, if you're not living in that residence hall. And so I would just refer to the Mariner Promise. We did try to put some, you know, specifics in there so that it's easy for students to understand what the expectations are for, you know, on campus and visitors and guests.
Thank you. And in addition to that, we are testing the 5 to 10% of the total campus population, which includes both residents, commuters, and faculty and staff on a regular basis. All right, so I know we've run over quite a bit. There are still some more questions in the Q&A box, and we will definitely respond to those. And if there are others, obviously we're all available and accessible through our online connections, the directory on the website to reach us. But with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Dr. Espy to wrap us up.
All right. Good evening again, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. Let me thank the panelists for answering the questions and providing us with really incredible information in preparation for the fall. As we said earlier, this is a recorded session, and for any questions that we didn't answer, we will certainly email those questions out to you as well. Now, I will also say to you that if questions still persist, feel free to reach out to us. We want to be able to answer any questions that you might have, any concerns that you might have prior to your coming to campus. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us this evening. And we look forward to hearing from you in the very near future and seeing so many of you on campus in the coming weeks. Thanks again and have a lovely, lovely evening. Good night, everybody.